Hi guys, welcome or welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about all of the books, specifically these books, that I've read throughout the month of December. I actually can't believe that I'm already doing my December wrap up. Like, that's absolutely insane. I don't know where this year went. I feel like we say this every year, but truly this year felt like it lasted a day. I can't believe that we're already getting into this is the end of December. We're already getting into January reading. I started 13 books this month. I think I ended up finishing 11. Still not back to like my normal numbers yet as far as like how many books I read in a month. However, I gave myself some grace this month because I've been adjusting to married life. I've talked about it so much, so I'm not going to bore y'all with all that again, but I will just say that I'm happy that I'm starting to finally like really get back into reading like hardcore. I'm excited for the new year and for all the new reading, but let's just talk about these for a second, shall we? So I feel like I should start this off with one of the biggest accomplishments that I have had this year, and that's I actually finished a series. You guys, I actually finished a series. I've been requested for me to do like the finishing all the series that I'm in the middle of, and I will absolutely be doing that starting January because there are entirely too many books that I'm currently in the middle of, or too many series that I'm currently in the middle of. The fact that I could finish at least one out for the year, I'm really happy with that. This just so happens to be the Caraval trilogy as well as the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. So let's talk about the Caraval trilogy, okay? So the first book is Caraval. I read that last year, and then randomly this month I picked up Legendary, and then I finished with Finale, obviously. These books were so freaking good. Okay, so I know that there's normally like two streams of thought whenever it comes to Caraval as well as Once Upon a Broken Heart, and usually those streams are Caraval is better or Once Upon a Broken Heart is better. I am of the belief that Caraval is better. Listen, I read Caraval and I enjoyed it. I think if I went back and read it again, I would probably enjoy it way more now. These two books solidified this being my favorite trilogy because the growth that I feel like both Scarlett and Donatella had throughout this whole trilogy, it made it so worth it. And also the male characters, the MMCs for both of them, I just absolutely loved. I adored both of them. I'm not going to tell you who it is, okay? Because it is kind of a spoiler, but it's so freaking good. If you don't know what these books are about, or if you have not heard about the Caraval trilogy, Caraval is following two sisters, Donatella and Scarlett. One of these sisters has been writing Legend, who is like this game master. Every year he holds a set of games called Caraval, and he grants the winner one wish. And so they've been writing Legend every single year to let them, or to give them tickets to Caraval so that they can go and escape their island, and they never got a response back until Caraval. Well, picture Caraval here. It's not in this monthly wrap up, but like until Caraval. So the Caraval is following their first round of games, and then Legendary and Finale is what comes afterwards. I absolutely love these books. Listen, if you're like me and you love like that kind of creepy carnival, magical, type feel, I think you would absolutely eat these books up. I know a lot of people's critique of this trilogy is that it feels kind of like disjointed, or that there's a lot going on. And to be honest with you, I can understand that because we're following two different people. We're following Donatella and Scarlett amidst this like very, I don't know how you would describe it. It just like there's more questions than there are answers whenever it comes to Caraval. Like nobody really knows what's going on. And so like it's going to feel, in my opinion, very disjointed in like what's going on because like nobody knows what's going on. It's very much arbitrary, and there's so many different rules that you have to kind of like try to put together, and it's just really good. And I loved the realness of Scarlett and Donatella's relationship because for a lot of this trilogy, Donatella was extremely self-absorbed and Scarlett did not have a backbone. So watching them kind of grow into like Donatella be caring about somebody else more than herself, and Scarlett finally growing a backbone, I absolutely loved. I will be rereading these books at some point because it's not enough. Reading these books one time was simply not enough. So I will be doing that. If you couldn't tell, both of these books are 5 stars. Yeah, so I think I ended up giving Caraval like a 3.5 or a 4 stars. I think if I went back and reread it, it probably would be bumped up to a 5 stars just because I love these two books so much. So I don't know. Then we get into the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. So we have Once Upon a Broken Heart, we have The Ballad of Never After, and then we have A Curse for True Love. We meet Jax, who's the MMC of this book, at some point throughout the Caraval trilogy, and it's about him and his story after the events that takes place in Caraval. And let me just say, let me settle this debate right here, right now on my channel, okay? I don't care what order you read them in, but like if you're gonna ask me, because I do get tons of questions about whether or not you should read Caraval first, and I'm gonna say this because yes, I'm biased, I love Caraval. If you know you want to read the Caraval trilogy, then I would absolutely read those first because they are kind of like a precursor, and there is a spoiler in this book, and actually I think the second one. I think there are a couple of spoilers that happen for Caraval in Once Upon a Broken Heart, so I would just keep that in mind. If you know that you're going to end up wanting to read the Caraval trilogy, I would read those first and then read these. If your end goal is just to read these and you really don't care about the Caraval trilogy, then I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, these spoilers are not like crazy, but at the same time, like for me, I wasn't gonna risk it. I wasn't gonna do it. Absolutely not. I'm too much of a traditionalist to not read those books first. So take of that what you will. I vote yes, read Caraval first if you know you're gonna end up reading those books anyways. Back to my thoughts. Okay, so listen, do I love these books more than Caraval? No, but I still loved them. Where Caraval, I've talked about this before in one of my like last couple reading vlogs, but where Caraval has that like creepy carnival magical kind of feel, this is a fairy tale, like a dark fairy tale, kind of whimsical, but also like there's something lying underneath the surface type deal. So I loved that. It's just not like my preferred kind of vibe, if that makes sense. Like, I very much get with the creepy carnival vibe, which is why I liked Caraval more than this trilogy. Now, the thing is also is that I love Jax. Okay, listen, my man. I love Jax so much, okay? He is sweet baby Jax. However, Evangeline, the FMC of this book, like, I enjoyed reading about Evangeline, but I don't like resonate with her. Like, I can't relate to her. So it's more so that like I'm just reading about a character more than I am relating to them, which is like fine. That's not something that like I need every time in order to enjoy a book. But I just feel like whenever you have a series where you can feel like you can resonate and relate to one of the main characters, it just makes the book that much more enjoyable. And so while I absolutely adored these, and I will again be rereading, I think I would probably, this is gonna sound so weird, I think I would probably reread these more often than I would the Caraval trilogy. Just, I don't know why. Like, it doesn't make sense. Maybe I like these more than I think I do. I don't know, but like I very much love this trilogy. Do not get me wrong. It's just in my head, like Evangeline is nowhere near a Donatella or a Scarlet, I guess, if that makes sense. So I don't think that actually made sense, but I love these books. I'm just gonna keep saying it. I love them. Should you read them? Yes. Anyways, let's get into the next book, which is The Christmas Tree Farm by Laurie Gilmore. This was I did not enjoy this book. Listen, I simply like this book for the vibes, okay? For the vibes, that's it. Now, normally when I go into a book like this, okay, like if you just look at the cover, like you're not expecting a whole lot, you know what I mean? Like, this is going to feel like a Hallmark movie type deal. And I expected that going into it. What I did not expect was to not like the characters. That is where I kind of like drew the line, where it's like, I don't necessarily need the writing to be great. I don't need the plot to be great. I just need to be able to enjoy the characters. Like, I need them to be likable. Like, is that so much to ask? Is that me being extra? I don't think it is, but like, I really did not like either of these characters. Okay, so basically we're following a girl who buys this Christmas tree farm sight unseen, okay? And she ends up meeting this dude who lives like they're kind of neighbors basically. And he is tasked to bring her in to the city or to the town, which is Dream Harbor. It's the same town that like the Pumpkin Spice Cafe and the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, it's all the same little town, okay? The town basically is like, hey, we need you to go and get her to like actually start doing things in the town, to like actually be a part of the town, because right now she's acting like the town's Scrooge. She does not want to be near anybody. And that like little synopsis would have me eating it up like freaking banana pudding. We made banana pudding during Christmas and it was really good, and I have been thinking about it ever since. Anyways, my only issue with this book was how juvenile the main characters felt. Like, it didn't even feel like the kind of like Hallmarky cringy where it's like, it's a kind of cringe that you can enjoy because it's like, it's fun cringy. This was just annoying cringy. So like, basically this entire time, these characters are like, oh, our time is limited, I shouldn't want you. and then they literally go and do something like mid-sentence. They're like, they haven't even gotten the sentence out, and then they're already like taking each other's clothes off. But like, it's so real. Like, I cannot tell you how many times that happened, and especially in her POV, where she's like, I need to not like him, but like, let me just take my shirt off right quick. And it's like, hey, you know, cool, but I thought we weren't doing this. And then he was guilty of it too, so then it really just felt like, okay, well, what's the point? Like, it felt like there was trying to be tension without there really being tension. Like, if it was just like, oh, we like each other, honestly, in this scenario, I probably would have preferred insta love, because like, that's what it felt like anyways. Okay, I'm getting too heated over a small town spicy festive romance. It was festive. It was spicy. I'll give you that. It was set in a small town. It just missed every other mark for me, which is super sad because I actually liked Pumpkin Spice Cafe. Like, I enjoyed that book. Now I'm scared to read the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, because apparently that book is set in summer, so I'm not reading that right now. I won't be reading that till like June. Miss me with that. But then a book that I started, The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. This is actually a reread for me. I have read The Bone Season multiple times, but she recently came out and like rewritten. She rewrote a lot, I think almost every book in this series. And so this is the like rewritten 10th anniversary edition. I started it immediately after I bought it, so I will be continuing with this. I just wanted to let you know that I started it, and that if you have not read it yet, you should, especially this version. This version is great, and the author prefers that you read this version because she wrote the original one apparently when she was like 18 or when she was super young, and so she said her writing has gotten a lot better since then, and I would agree. If you honestly have not heard me talking about The Bone Season, literally, where have you been? Literally, have you been under a rock? Where is it that you have been? She is not a rock. Okay. It follows Paige. Paige is a clairvoyant. Clairvoyant, it's not a very good thing to be a clairvoyant in this kind of like futurized version of London, right? Because I think it's literally like in the 2059, which is like crazy to think about, that we're not that far away from that. We're literally like 30 years off. A little over 30 years. That's crazy. Anyways, so we're in this like futuristic London, right? And there's this government, and the government does not like clairvoyants. So what do? Yeah, they find these clairvoyants, and then they either like arrest them, or they send them to this underground slave ring. Paige got sent to this underground slave ring, where she ends up meeting this dude who is a leader of this underground slave ring, and they end up befriending each other. I absolutely adored it. I have not read on with the series. I talk about this every single time I talk about The Bone Season. I've read The Bone Season specifically like 5 or 6 times. Like, it's been so many times that I've read that book. There are 4 other books, if not more. I think it's like 3 or 4 other books in that series, and I have not read beyond it. I read like The Pale Dreamer, which is a little novella. I did not read The Mime Order, which is the second book. Make it make sense. It doesn't. Yeah. Anyways, Brain Damage by Freida McFadden was the next book that I read, and this was very interesting. I was not expecting to like this book. Sounds so bad. I was not expecting to like this book, and it hit. It very much hit. Like, I feel like I've grown out of my Freida McFadden kind of like phase, because at some point throughout this year I read a ton of Freida McFadden books, like a criminal amount, okay, because she has so many books out, and I was busting through them, okay? And so I took a break from her for a long time, and then I ended up reading Brain Damage because it was one of the books that Tyler had wrapped for me to read for Bookmas. It follows a doctor. She's a doctor. She ends up getting shot in the head, but she lives. And so you go through like this past and present timeline where it's like the past is her like old life, obviously, and the present is her going through all of this like physical therapy, being in the hospital, trying to remember what happened to her, like who shot her, and all of this stuff. And it's very Freida McFadden-esque, but I do think that this actually might be one of my favorites written by her, because it was incredibly short, but to me it was super interesting. Rating wise for this, I'd probably say like a 3.5 stars. I did guess the ending, but I don't think this was supposed to be an ending that was like not necessarily like a huge plot twist. It was just like a inevitable kind of thing where it's like you don't want it to happen, but like you see that it's coming. I would recommend it though. It's pretty good. I listened to the audiobook as always. There's just something about a Freida McFadden audiobook that will always hit. Doesn't matter how I feel about her physical books, like her audiobooks will always hit. So there's at least that. But then we're also going to talk about the 2 books that I read on Kindle Unlimited, because if I don't talk about them now, I will forget that I read them. The first book was, actually this is not a physical book that I read, but it was The Christmas Party by Catherine Croft, I think is her name. Not great. It was not my favorite. I don't remember what I ended up rating it there, but I think if I were to go back and like rate it now, it probably would be somewhere like a 2.5 star type deal. I didn't really care about it, to be so honest with you. I don't even remember a ton about it, which I feel like is saying a lot as well. This one girl has a friend group and she invites the whole friend group back to her house for a Christmas party, and this house was where this like tragedy had taken place like years prior, and so it's the first time that all of them had gotten back together in a really long time. Crazy things just start happening, and so they all start to think like, maybe she did not invite us here just out of the goodness of her heart to be sweet. Maybe she's actually kind of insane. And so it's just like set over one night, but it's also a past and present timeline where like you're getting like the past, what happened back then, and then like what's going on now at that Christmas party. And it was interesting. I feel like because it was so short, because it was only a 5.5 hour long audiobook, so it really did not take me that long to read at all. I feel like if it had been a little bit longer and we had a little like just more of the story, I feel like it could have been better, but it just really was not, it did not hit for me like I was hoping it was going to, and I'm really sad about that because I really wanted a good thriller and I just did not end up getting it. Then I also read, I actually just finished this book like an hour ago, and that's Hollowed Games by, what is her name? C.N. Crawford. You can see it. Anyways, this was an interesting book. It follows, I forgot what her name is already, but it follows our main character. She is a cursed person. Like, she's cursed. She can't touch people, okay? If she touches them, they die, right? She is trying to hide that fact from the like magic people. I'm saying that the magic leaders, something like that, okay? She's trying to hide it from them, and they end up finding out, and so this guy named Maylor, he ends up arresting her, and she tries to like, do the poke him to kill him. She ends up finding out that like he can't die from her touch, like he's immune to it. Yeah, she also has to compete in these like trials, and she ends up like staying with him. Yeah, she is fully staying with him, but she's competing in these trials and he's like trying to coach her through it. It was an interesting read. I probably rated it like a 3 star. I really just read it because I wanted something else that was a fantasy, but I really did not want to read anything off of my physical TBR, because why would I want to do that? I wanted to read a book that I was going to inevitably want to buy a physical copy of, because I make smart decisions. Anyways, this book, it went by super quickly because for 388 pages, I feel like I did not spend that much time reading it at all. And what I will say is like the book had moments and bursts where I was just like, all I wanted to do is like figure out what was happening because the scenes were so intense, and then it would have this lull where I like really didn't care about what was going on, and then it would like ramp up again. So I will say like hats off to C.N. Crawford for keeping that kind of like momentum throughout the whole book, because I feel like if it hadn't been for those ups, then I probably wouldn't have cared enough to keep going. But those ups were really what kept me going. The only negative thing that I will say is like towards the end, it started to fall a little bit flat for me. Like it wasn't necessary. It didn't hit the same as like the first half did, unfortunately. So for those reasons, she's getting a 3 to 3.5. I think it's the first book in a duet, so I would like to read the second book. It was very much giving Serpent in the Wings of Night though. So if you did like Serpent in the Wings of Night and you want something kind of similar to that, like the plot was really plotting Serpent in the Wings of Night. So take of that what you will, I guess. It was interesting. Then we have In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. I read Christmas books for a day or something like that, and this is one of the books that I read for that video, and I liked it. I haven't really thought about it much since, so I think I'd probably rate it like a 3 star, just because like when I tell you I haven't given this book a 0 thoughts. But to be fair, I don't necessarily think this was supposed to be a book that was like earth-shattering by any stretch of the imagination. It's like a Groundhog Day kind of thing where this girl, she ends up reliving the same day over and over again. Yes, Jolie, that's exactly what Groundhog Day means. She lives the same day over and over again, but like at random points the day will stop early, like if she does something that's stupid. I don't know. This book, okay, I will say that this book was kind of hilarious because as we're going through her trying to figure out like why she's reliving the Groundhog Day situation, it's just kind of funny to see. Does that sound bad? It really was. It was funny to see and I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you, okay? I look back on this fondly because one, I read it super quickly, but two, I was just enjoying it the whole time. Like I felt kind of more like a mindless kind of read, but it was good for the season. Something in my head whenever I was reading this though, and I talked about this I think a little bit in the vlog, but like something in my head while I was reading this was giving summer to me, and I don't know why. Like that literally makes zero sense, but just in my mind I kept having to like re-edit myself because I kept wanting to think about this book as taking place during the winter or during the summer. And it's supposed to be set during the winter. Like they're literally having snowball fights. Where's the disconnect? I don't know. That's not the book's fault. That's just me being dumb. Didn't think about it too much. So we're gonna move on to one of my favorite Christmassy books that I read, which was Baggage Claim by Juliana Smith. I read this book, I started it last year and then I never finished it. And so then this Christmas I was like, I need to finish this book. I cannot wait, or what's the word that I'm looking for? I can't procrastinate any longer. And I'm very happy that I made that decision because this was so freaking cute. Okay, following Olive and Finn. Olive, she is known for being single. She is kind of a recluse. She's not outside, okay? She is not outside by any shape of the imagination. Well, she ends up taking this flight to her parents for the holidays, and right before this flight, she was like, oh, Mom, you don't have to worry about me. I have a boyfriend and he's coming with us for the holidays, right? Obviously that's kind of a problem because she doesn't have a boyfriend because she's not outside. So like, where is she gonna meet her boyfriend? So she ends up sitting next to this dude named Finn on the flight. Well, Finn has nothing but time. He has nothing but time. And so he ends up being her fill-in date. And it's so freaking cute. This book was hilarious. I loved Finn. I loved Olive and Finn's relationship. Oh, it was so good. It's on Kindle Unlimited. The second book actually just came out, so I do want to read the second book very, very shortly. Okay, then another DNF that I had this month, The Kingmakers by Kennedy Ryan. I feel really bad about this one, but I honestly think that the reason why I didn't vibe with this was just because I was not in a romance mood. So I started this book a couple of days ago, like I think it was Christmas Eve that I started it, and I do not want to pick up a romance book right now. I'm really in my fantasy mood heavily, and so I picked it up because Tyler had wrapped it for me and I didn't know that I was picking it, and so I still tried to read it anyways, and it was like going to put me into a reading slump, so I had to set it down immediately. Expeditiously I set this book down, and I have not gone to pick it back up. I don't know if I will. Maybe I will. It's kind of like, it wasn't my favorite. I really didn't find myself like caring about it too much, which again could be the fault of me not wanting to read a romance book right now, so I'm hoping that that's what it is. I'll probably go back and pick it up later to see if I can enjoy it, but as of right now she is being put down. Then the next book was How the Grump Saved Christmas by Claire Kingsley. I read this for my Christmas reading for a day whatever vlog, and this was so cute. It was a little small town romance. This really rich guy is trying to convince this girl to sell her family's land, but they have like a Christmas market thing that goes on, and they have a Christmas tree farm on this land too, and they are not doing very well. Like they're not making as much money as they could be, and so this guy from her past ends up coming back and is like, hey, like you should sell, you guys aren't gonna make it much longer. And she's like, hey, screw you, watch us do this. Hallmarky things happen from there. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It was very, very cute. I don't actually remember there being any like explicit spice in this. Like as far as I remember, it was very clean. Like they talked about it and they alluded to it, but like there wasn't anything that was like explicit in here, which I did very much enjoy as well. Yeah, it was a cute little Christmassy read. I probably would end up rereading this like during Christmas time. It was a cute little Hallmarky book. Then last but not least, we have Heartless Hunter by Kristen Cicerelli. I absolutely ate this book up. Listen, I ate this book up, okay? I absolutely devoured this book, okay? The audiobook, phenomenal. Reading this physical book, I didn't actually read this physical book. I read it on my iPad. It's between a witch and a witch hunter. Need I say more? I don't think I should, okay? It's so freaking good. I'm literally just gonna sound like a broken record, but genuinely it was so good. I'm so excited for what is the next one, The Rebel Witch, to come out, because the way this book ended had me screaming, crying, throwing up. I rated it like a 4.5 stars. It just didn't quite give me like that 5-star feeling. Otherwise it definitely would have. But it was just so freaking good. Listen, if you have not been reading this book, or if you have not read this book and you've been putting it off, do that no longer. Go pick it up. It's on Kindle Unlimited. The audiobook is phenomenal. The physical book is gorgeous. I really want a paperback version to come out though, because I looked it up on Amazon and there wasn't even a date for the paperback. So is it just not coming out? I don't know, but I really want the paperback to come out. I have so many annotations sitting in my iPad right now that I need to put down on paper, and I don't want to put it down on this paper, so please tell me if there's a paperback coming out. Anyways, you should read it. Those are all the books that I read in the month of December. I feel like I had a really good reading month, aside from like the couple DNFs that I had and the weird audiobook that I listened to. I feel like I overall had a really, really good reading month, just a really solid reading month, and I'm super excited for what January and just like the rest of 2025. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys had a great reading month. Also, as always, let me know what was your highest and your lowest rating for the month of December. Like what were the stats for y'all? Go ahead and let me know, because I want to know. Anyways, aside from that, if you guys want to see my face on any other place on the internet, as always, check all the links in my description. Y'all know I came out with the Bookish merch line, so if you guys want to check that out, go ahead and check out the first link in my description for that. Other than that, my loves, I will see you tomorrow for the next day of Bookmas. Bye-bye!